If everyone can start to get seated, we'd like to start momentarily. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. All right, calling this meeting to order, School Naming Committee. This is our July 27th meeting. We're here at Smith Ridge Elementary School. We'll go to item 1.02, roll call.
Sue Egloff. William Newman. Here. Megan Downs.
Here.
Jennifer Diaz. Dallas McCord.
Present.
Ann Pagney.
Here.
Jeremy Ivy. Haley Jones.
Here.
Elizabeth Wagstaff. Russell Morgan.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. And for the record, Sue Egloff is now here as well. All right, we'll move to 2.01. That's approval of the minutes of the June 15th meeting. This is for possible action. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? If there's no discussion, can I get a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Sue Egloff to second.
Great, and all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. And the minutes are passed. Thank you. And we will go now to 2.02. That's the presentation, discussion, and possible action on the semifinalist name submissions for the new elementary school on the current Edward L. Pine School campus, the community response to those semifinalists, and the creation of a finalist list of no more than 3 names based on individual rankings of committee members to be recommended to the Board of Trustees, also for possible action. Welcome, Colleen.
Thank you, Megan, Chair Downs, and committee members. My name is Colleen DeLong, and I am the staff liaison for the School Naming Committee, for the record. After our June, and I've got the clicker, 15th meeting where you selected the semifinalist names for the new elementary school, we sent out, okay, clicker, there. Thank you, JJ. We sent out a survey to the community to get input. It was open for 2 weeks from June 16th until June 30th. It went out community-wide via our local media, our social media platforms. We also sent targeted messages to the school communities that were going to be impacted, which, for your information, are Robert Corbett Elementary School, Donner Springs Elementary School, Pine Middle School, and Smith Ridge Elementary School. And I am pleased to tell you we received 3,318 survey responses. 3,252 were in English and 66 were Spanish submissions. It seems to me that our community is excited about this, and I was really pleased with that level of participation and engagement. To provide a little further dive into the responses, we'll look at the next slide. Thank you. And here's a breakdown of who responded to our survey. And you will notice that all of the groups that we asked to identify are represented here as participating. The highest level is our community, and that was with a total of 1,418 responses. The next slide is going to show the percentage ranking for each of the responses that we received, and you'll notice that all 11 semifinalist choices received votes on the survey. Our next slide shows you the total number of votes on the community survey for each nomination. They're in order of highest to lowest. In your meeting packet that you have right now, too, you'll notice that we included the responses or the comments section from the people who voted, and that attachment provides you with the exact comments that were received in our survey. We don't edit those at all, so there are typos and misspellings, and we knew that, but we did not correct those. We also received public comment via email, which have been provided to you in advance for your review. And then I believe we are going to have some public comment this evening as well. So all of these resources will help you in your task to select the finalists. On the next slide, our goal this evening is to narrow this list of 11 semifinalists down to no more than 3 finalists. Your vote this evening will recommend no more than 3 finalist names that will be provided to the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees, who will make the final selection. All of this information presented to you, and in adherence with our governing board policy and administrative regulation, which we've gone over, will guide you when it is time for you to rank your rankings of the nominations. Then on our last slide, so the process this evening is going to include your discussion, public comment, and then in the past, we have had each committee member rank their top 3 selections, which is much more simple than what we did at the last meeting. Thank goodness, right? Your rankings then will provide you with points or a score of yourself as a committee, and it will assist you in your decision making. So as a reminder, when you do fill out those scoring sheets, which you have in your packets also, we'll ask that you save on to those, put your name on them, and turn them in to the teacher, to the recording secretary over there. And at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to our chair for discussion and public comment.
First of all, I'd like to ask the committee if there's any questions they have for Colleen, any clarifying questions related to her presentation?
Yes, I have one. William Newman for the record. That number of the people, of the students, community members, teachers, and then there was other. What group is included in other? I mean, there seem to be quite a few of them, so I'm wondering what else could there be?
Well, you know, as this is obviously a self-identifying column, I don't know what every person that filled that out was thinking, but they could have been looking at themselves as a business person or as a grandparent of students or an alumni of one of our schools. Kind of an open category, but someone that didn't necessarily feel that they were a student, a staff, a parent, or a community member. Does that help? No? Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
I have a question, if I can remember it here. Was there a count of the number of the comments that were submitted as part of the survey tallied by each individual nominee?
No, we did not do a tally, like correlating the name of the nomination and then the comment, or are you talking about like the total number of
Right,
names?
and we'll just pick, say Arlen Melendez because he was, the highest. So there were a number of comments. Was there a count of the comments for Arlen Melendez or Smithridge or any of the others?
We did not provide a tally number for the comments. We provided every comment we received, but I will just advise you that that was one of the questions on the survey, but it was not a required question, so people did not have to fill it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? I'd like to hear public comment first before we begin our deliberations. That way, if folks have to leave, we'll ensure that we heard their comment. So if it's all right if we begin with that?
Chris Garvey.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Washoe County School District School Naming Committee. I wholeheartedly endorse naming the new elementary school after John Joseph Flynn and his son, John Michael Flynn. This father-son duo exemplifies the very best of service, leadership, and sacrifice, values that will inspire generations of young students in our community. John J. Flynn dedicated his life to education as a teacher, a coach, and a principal. As a founding principal of McQueen High School, he shaped countless lives and through hard work and dedication and commitment to excellence. As the student demographic changed in our community, he remained steadfast in providing opportunities and helping all students apply the core values of a great education so that every child, regardless of background, could succeed. His efforts built a strong foundation for students, fostering discipline, teamwork, and hope for a brighter future. His son, John M. Flynn, carried forward that spirit of service by enlisting in the Nevada Army National Guard. As a skilled pilot of Chinook helicopters, he embodied courage, sacrifice, teamwork, and a relentless striving for excellence, ultimately giving his life in the line of duty while serving our country in Afghanistan. His bravery reflects the highest ideals of patriotism and selflessness. Together, their stories highlight hard work and dedication in building and educating our community, profound sacrifice for the greater good, and lasting hope that empowers future generations. Naming the school John Flynn Elementary would honor their positive impact and remind every student that education, service, and character can create enduring legacies. Tonight, you will hear from community members on how their service and commitment personally touched their lives. I've known John Joseph Flynn all my life, and John Michael Flynn all of his life. I've witnessed the consistency of their leadership, service, and compassion over time. As a past school board trustee and a lifelong Nevadan, I want to thank you for considering this meaningful tribute, and I am confident it will enrich our district and inspire students to preserve life of a purpose and contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I was also remiss in just reminding everyone they have the 3 minutes. That ding that you heard was that you have 30 seconds left. So oh, excuse me, 15, yes.
Ross Gregory.
Perfect. I turned it off. Am I on? Good. Madam Board Chair and members of the School Naming Committee, my name is Ross Gregory. I was born and raised in Reno and a product of the Washoe County School District. I am a retired employee of the school district with 33 years as a teacher and school administrator. In my last 20 years with the district, I served as a school administrator at 4 different schools with a high school principal and was a high school principal at 2 of our district high schools. The naming of a school is a profound and lasting impact on the school and community it serves. The school's name becomes synonymous with the school's culture, identity, legacy, and history. With few exceptions, our schools in Washoe County have been named after the legacy and contribution of well-known school employees and school administrators who have given years of their life and service to our school district, its students, our staff, and community. Tonight, I am highly recommending your consideration for your decision to name the new elementary school after John J. Flynn, a highly known and celebrated retired teacher, coach, and school administrator of the Washoe County School District following his 30 years of dedicated service. Mr. Flynn began his distinguished career with the school district in 1961 as a teacher and coach at Sparks High School.
And then after helping to open the new Earl Wooster High School in 1965, Mr. Flynn returned to Sparks High School to become a celebrated basketball coach and teacher, and was eventually appointed as one of the school's vice principals in the early 1970s, as well as admired and respected by the staff, students, and parents and community alike. Mr. Flynn was later selected by the School Board of Trustees to become the new school principal to open the new Robert McQueen High School in 1982 in Northwest Reno to a rapidly growing area of our community. Under his highly skilled leadership and direction, McQueen High School quickly became one of the premier high schools in our school district and in Nevada, in academics, athletics, and extracurricular programs. During his tenure, he became a highly respected school administrator whose expertise and knowledge were sought out by other school administrators throughout our district and throughout our state. I highly encourage you to look at his wonderful record and contribution to our community, that you might name one of our new elementary schools in his honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Hausauer.
Good afternoon, School Naming Committee. My name is Mark Hausauer, and I started the ball rolling on the John Flynn nomination. It is the duty of us, the nominators, to explain our ideas behind the nomination we made so that you have as much information as you need to make an informed decision about which names are most deserving. Our endorsements will be first person from people who know John Sr. and knew John Jr. I am excited to also learn the stories and qualifications of the other candidates being considered, including any legacy namesakes. I want to thank this committee and the over 100 people that know and respect the Flynns, moving them to nominate and comment for your last meeting. Now that you are somewhat familiar with the name John Flynn, we are back to provide more testimony to fill out their resume in hopes of making your top 3. There are extraordinary people on your list, and I've known personally some of them. I feel deeply that school names should be reserved for people, as society has very few opportunities to honor people who achieve amazing things on behalf of all of us. Both John Flynns are intergenerational pillars of our community, and their lives' work deserves to be honored. They are second and third of 5 generations of Flynns who have settled and contributed their all for this community. John Joseph Flynn grew up the son of a railroad worker when Sparks was in its infancy. Due to his athletic achievements, he was nicknamed Slug by his peers at Sparks Junior High School because of his ability to crush a baseball while at bat. He was the first class president at Sparks High School prior to enrolling at UNR, where he majored in education while playing baseball and basketball for Nevada under head coach Jake Lawler. For tuition, he worked at the Rooster Room at John Esquaga's Nugget. In the early 1960s, Slug had graduated from UNR and joined the Army. He was stationed in Georgia when the call came offering him a teaching position at Sparks High School. He returned home and began his teaching, coaching, and school administration career, which lasted for all or part of 4 decades. Mr. Flynn is the embodiment of how far public education can take a person, their family, and this community. When I settled on the namesake John Flynn, I wanted to convey the intergenerational nature and symmetry of education, highlighting the role parents have as a child's first teacher. My other was the confidence that neither man needed the supplement of the other to be worthy as an individual for this honor, as each checks all 4 boxes from your previous meeting. Please, before you make your selections, review the voting comments submitted, particularly pages 19 to 34. These comments and stories highlight contributions both Flynns made to our local, state, and national community. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Denise Hausauer.
Good evening. And thank you for your work in selecting a worthy name for our newest elementary school. My name is Denise Hausauer, and I'm the oldest of 4 children in the John and Joyce Flynn family. My background includes work as a high school teacher, as an assistant principal, and a principal in the Washoe County School District. Through this work, I understand the importance of strong leadership and stories of our past that provide a strong grounding and inspiration to reach our potential. As a new administrator, I came home from school one night and asked my then retired father how he would answer the following question: "What's your vision for your school?" It was an exercise that administrators were being asked to do for the superintendent at the time. My father did not answer the question immediately. He spent some time thinking about it, and the next morning he asked me to share breakfast with him. And sitting on the table was a handwritten piece of paper. This is how important it was to me. I still have it. That was dated January 11th, 2006, written at 3:45 a.m. in the morning. I'd like to quote the exact words written that early morning by my father, and I believe it will give you a true picture of the man that so many people call mentor, leader, and champion of education. The document reads, and I quote, "Vision, also known as a philosophy of education in the old days. Create an environment in which students have the opportunity to develop their mental and physical abilities to the maximum of their potential, develop intellect and the ability to reason and act accordingly. Do this by doing 3 things: hiring good teachers, knowledgeable in their field, qualified with master's degrees, know methods that work with kids, like kids along with the subject, and are enthusiastic about their subject and think it's important. Number 2, create environment conducive to learning. No distractions, including discipline. Latest in technology and methods. And the buildings and grounds must reflect care and be in good order. And finally, number 3, provide support emotionally for students and staff, both mental and physical." And then he added, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Love you, Dad. I'm proud to be a Flynn. It took me years to go from being Slug Flynn's daughter to being Denise Hausauer, and that's okay. My dad created something I aspired to, and that's why I'm here tonight. This was an example from his own hand of the grounding you, as a school naming committee, will be providing the new school administration when you forward the Flynn name for this new elementary school. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Steve Ranson.
Good evening, Board. I appreciate the work you're doing. My name's Steve Ranson. I'm a retired educator, editor emeritus, and probably the only one here from Churchill County, but I'll explain. I'm a Reno High grad, 1970, University of Nevada. Moved out to the rurals decades ago, but while I was a student at the University of Nevada, I worked at Washoe County Transportation. And during the year of 72, 73, during John's basketball run, he won 13 straight games before going to the state, and I was his bus driver. But this is what I saw of the man when I was driving him and his interactions with the students. He was a man committed to youth, to young men seeking to take that next step higher in life. In later years, after I left the county and taught in the rurals, our paths crossed occasionally. I had and still have the intense amount of respect for Mr. Flynn as an educator, coach, human being, and grieving father. Now, the other part of my life, I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, Army National Guard, state of Nevada, and proud of it. I served in the Nevada Army National Guard at the same time his son John did in the late 1990s and 2000s. As a public information officer 21 years ago, I attended the mobilization of the aviation unit to Afghanistan in early 2005. 9 months later, I was on duty in Carson City as the day's public information officer in September of 2005 when we took the call and being notified of Mustang 22 being shot down 9,000 miles away from Nevada with John Flynn Jr. and 4 others aboard, including an aviator from nearby Fernley who I had been acquainted with. So during the next 20 years, my relationship grew from covering Mustang 22 events as a public information officer to a daily newspaper editor and general manager, and to now as a retired editor and current military writer for Northern Nevada. And I also report on military and veteran news for KOH Radio twice a month here in Reno. So not only would the new school have a father-son name, but it would also have the support of an extended family of great Nevadans, those who knew either Flynn. I thank you for the opportunity to address this board on behalf of the Flynns, John Sr. and John Jr.
Thank you.
Karen Barrett.
Hello, committee members. My name is Karen Barrett, and I was a school district employee for approximately 20 years. But I had the good fortune to be one of the students who attended Grace Warner Elementary School when it first opened its doors in 1964. I was in the first kindergarten class and attended through the 6th grade. Mr. Frank Marfisi was my principal the entire time and continued on to lead Grace Warner for many, many years beyond. He opened the doors of the school not only for the students, but for our community. To our neighborhood, he offered extracurricular activities such as scouting and community carnivals. I asked my mother what she remembered about Mr. Marfisi, and she immediately responded that he made parents feel welcome, respected, and appreciated. He told her he had the best parent group ever. Mr. Marfisi had a way of making all people, students and parents, adults, anyone who came, welcome and appreciated. He had a way of bringing our new little community together. Flash forward now 56 years from my kindergarten years to 2020 and the COVID pandemic. Life as we knew it had changed for many folks. Most people may not be able to say there was a silver lining that came from that dreadful time. However, friends, neighbors, and old classmates came together, perhaps not physically, but over the internet. And one of our K through 6th grade classmates set out on an effort to reconnect this very special group of friends, the first K through 6 Grace Warner gang. And over time, there were approximately 10 of us that were able to be located, and we visited almost monthly via a Zoom meeting. And then on June 1st of 2024, now nearly 60 years later, 8 former K through 6th grade Grace Warner students came from several states to get together at a local pizza establishment to honor a person who was very special to us all, and that was Mr. Frank Marfisi, along with his wife, Jane. If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. Mr. Marfisi, in his 90s, remembered each and every one of us. I think his memory is better than mine. Following my mother's Hawaiian culture, Mr. Marfisi is Ohana, which means family. Ohana, however, extends far beyond the traditional nuclear family to include extended relatives, close friends, and anyone you share a deep, supportive bond with. And Mr. Marfisi is definitely Ohana. If I may speak for our Grace Warner gang, there would be no greater honor than to have a new school, the new elementary, named after Mr. Marfisi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Christian Roberts.
Members of the board, my name is Christian Roberts, and I am here to advocate for the name John Flynn for the new elementary school. It's my belief that a school should represent the people of the community that it's serving. Starting with my uncle, who passed away in 2005. Just weeks before that happened, he was here on leave teaching me how to water ski at Lahontan here. His sacrifice speaks for itself. To go a step beyond that, my grandfather, John Flynn, was a very prominent member of the education system here, as has been discussed by previous members. He represents not only himself within the education community here, but several family members, including my aunt Denise Hausauer, who is a nationally recognized principal from DeMonte High School, and my wife, who is a middle school teacher at Swope Elementary School, and my kids who are going to school here at Jesse Beck Elementary. We represent a large family that is embedded in this community and is going back 5 generations to my great-grandfather, Charles Flynn, who came here approximately in 1917 on the railroad. And I would say that this family represents this community as it's grown from a very, very small town to what it is today, and has roots that will extend into the future. And I believe that this elementary school would be well served by a family that has demonstrated courage and bravery through the ultimate sacrifice of my uncle, as well as prior experience within the educational community, as well as continued educational commitment. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Sharice Roberts.
Good evening. Following my son, Christian Roberts, I don't know if I can do such a good job as he did, but we appreciate your time and listening to all of our stories about my dad, John Flynn, and my brother, John Flynn. And we appreciate your taking the opportunity to let us tell you a little bit more about them. I'm Sharice Roberts, second oldest daughter of John J. Flynn's 4 children. In 1981, my father was chosen as the founding principal of Robert McQueen High School, moving from assistant principal at Sparks High School. That appointment spoke volumes about the trust Washoe County placed in its leadership. From the start, he invited the community to shape that school's identity from colors to mascot to song. But his greatest achievement was the people he brought together. He hired outstanding teachers, coaches, and staff, setting a standard of excellence that earned McQueen its reputation as an Ivy League high school. 44 years later, the impact is clear as he laid the foundation for success in the greater Reno area. He always said, as the high school goes, so goes the community. And time has proven those words to be true. Building a school culture from scratch is no small task, and soon another principal will shape the culture of a new elementary school. That choice matters, and I believe the right name can help to guide that part. This community has been shaped by generations of McQueen graduates who have gone on to serve as public servants, members of our military, physicians, engineers, educators, and leaders in countless other professions. But my father's influence began long before McQueen High School opened. As Coach Flynn, he spent countless mornings, evenings, and weekends in gyms and on baseball fields throughout Washoe County, mentoring young athletes and helping shape not only successful teams, but successful lives. His leadership also inspired and guided fellow coaches, many of whom went on to mentor future generations of students and athletes. With just a glimpse of his legacy, naming a new school in his honor would carry forward that commitment to excellence and inspire future generations. I want to thank you for your time and consideration in this important task of naming a new elementary school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Laycox.
Good evening, Washoe County School Naming Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Sean Laycox. I'm a retired Chief Warrant Officer with the Nevada Army National Guard, and I had the distinct honor of serving with John Flynn Jr. when he was in the Nevada Army Guard and also on his deployment in '05. Tonight, I'm here to honor Chief Warrant Officer 3, John M. Flynn Jr., and try to recount his service and remind us why the actions of a single dedicated individual can leave a lasting impression on others. John was born in Reno, Nevada in '69 and grew up in a family that valued hard work and community. He joined the Nevada Army National Guard as a teenager, completed flight school in '92, and served with distinction as a pilot. He started out flying the UH-1 Huey helicopter early in his career and later became an experienced CH-47 Chinook instructor pilot with Delta Company 113th Aviation. This was the heavy lift helicopter unit he was destined for. In March of '05, John deployed to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom as one of our senior instructor pilots. He was also a flight lead and an air mission commander. Well into our tour of duty, on the morning of September 25th, he was the pilot in command of a Chinook helicopter, call sign Mustang 22. John was the flight lead, leading a flight of 7 aircraft with the mission to conduct a pre-dawn insertion of Army and Special Forces troops. After successfully delivering 30 soldiers into the objective, his Chinook came under intense fire while departing the landing zone. The aircraft was fatally damaged, and we lost 5 of our crew members, comrades, and friends. John's legacy rests on more than a combat record. It is found in the way he mentored others, his instructional skill, his quiet steadiness under pressure, his ability to balance commitment to work with responsibility to family. These are the elements of a legacy. His professionalism and courage in the face of danger, his commitment to the mission, and his ultimate sacrifice exemplify the highest ideals of leadership, responsibility, and dedicated service. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
John Morose.
Hello. Good evening, Washoe County School Trustees. My name's John Morose, and I'm here tonight to speak in support of John Michael Flynn. We used to call him Junior too, one of our fallen soldiers. I first met John when he and his wife, Christy, purchased their first home for my company, Morose Homes, out in Spanish Springs, over 35 years ago. What started as purchasing a home quickly turned into a friendship. We shared the love for construction, obviously, because John was in construction, and Christy always made sure when the kids came down to their house that they walked away with cookies. As the years went by, John and I discovered another shared passion, and that was motorcycles and racing. He became a tremendous mentor and influence to my late son, Joshua, encouraging and inspiring his riding career and racing career. That journey ultimately led my son, Joshua, to become the youngest rider in AMA history to go pro at 16 years old. John believed in people, especially young people, and he had a way of encouraging them to pursue their dreams in confidence. I know that for a fact because when I met his dad, the senior John Flynn, I see where he got it from. One thing that always stood out about John was that he gave 150% to everything he did, whether it was his family, his friends, or his career. He was fully committed at all times. But the quality I admired most was his unwavering dedication to serve this country. I still remember when John began training to fly the Chinooks helicopters. It wasn't just a job to him, because I asked him, why do you do it? He said it was a calling. I have to do it. He approached it with passion, discipline, and an incredible sense of purpose. He was proud to wear the uniform, and he understood the sacrifices that came when serving something greater than himself. John Flynn Jr. wore many hats. He was a devoted son, a husband, and a proud father, and a friend, and a businessman, and a dedicated soldier. Most importantly, he was a hero. Tonight, I respectfully ask that you honor his legacy by naming your school, the school, under the Flynn name. Doing so would ensure that future generations know his story, their stories, and are reminded that courage, service, sacrifice, and love of country are values worth remembering.
Thank you, sir.
Heroes should never be forgotten. John Flynn Jr. is one of those heroes. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Christy Pierce.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I am Christy Pierce, and I am the widow of John Flynn. On behalf of my children and our family, I'd like to thank you for your consideration of naming the Smithridge Elementary after my late husband. Every candidate here is deserving, and you've heard about John's military career and his service to our community and our state and our nation. But what I hope to share today is what made the man behind those accomplishments. John and I met on the shores of Lake Elmore in 1989, sorry. We married in 91, and while he was training to become a helicopter pilot. We raised 2 children, bought a home, and we planned a life together. And then September 11th of 2001 happened. And I remember John's phone call telling me that our lives are about to change. And from that day forward, our family lived by deployment schedules and the needs of our country. Just before deployment, John was involved in a serious motorcycle accident and he broke his wrist. And most people would have stayed home, but instead, he endured endless therapy and incredible pain to regain flight status so that he could go to deployment with the men and women that he had trained with for the past 15 plus years. And that was John. But the man I hope you remember today wasn't defined by medals or recognition. Not one award hung in our home or in his office, and instead, our walls were filled with pictures of his children and our family. He proudly wore Barbie pink toenail polish beneath his combat boots because his daughter had painted them. His son spent endless hours on the tractor while we built our new home. And after John passed away, I learned things that I had never heard before. One of his coworkers shared that John quietly filled his propane tank so that his family could stay warm through the winter. And another told me that John paid for his schooling because he couldn't afford it. These were not isolated acts of kindness. That was just simply who he was. But John was not a perfect man. He stumbled just as we all do, but he always got backed up, and he lived his life on faith, humility, compassion, and a deep commitment to serving others. I respectfully ask you to consider what lessons we want our children to learn when they walk through the new doors of the new elementary school. I can think of no greater example than a man whose greatest legacy was not his rank or his awards, but based on his character. Our family has deep roots in this state. For 5 generations, we have tried to live our lives marked by leadership, by service, by commitment, and by sacrifice. John's name on that school would not simply honor one man, it would remind every child who enters that door that true greatness is found in integrity, in compassion, perseverance, humility, and bottom line service to others. And that, my friend, is what legacies are built of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Olivero.
I want to thank you for having the opportunity to speak in support of naming the elementary school after John Flynn. That's probably the last time I'll call him John. I'll refer to him as Slug because I don't know if I've ever called him John. I was lucky to be part of Sparks High School staff starting in 1976, and Slug was our vice principal. I couldn't have asked to have a better mentor, friend, person you could just go to and talk to. His door was always open, always willing to help out, whether it be a teaching situation, a coaching situation. Just a great man. I can't tell you how many athletes, how many teachers, how many coaches he's impacted over his career. I go back in the community now. I was with the district for 31 years. Go back in the community now, and people are always asking, how's Slug doing? Have you seen Slug? Even when he went to McQueen and I remained at Sparks High School, that connection was still there, someone you could always go to. Always had great advice, always had time to listen. I also had an opportunity to work with his son Johnny in the summer for Slug. And again, the same great qualities that Slug had: hard work, determination, just a great family and a great experience for me. I can only say, and you've heard a lot about his background, but not a better guy. Someone who, again, influenced a lot of people. And I think if you're looking at opening a school, having a name, he certainly represents everything that's good, everything that's right about education. So I would ask you, again, to strongly consider naming the new elementary school for John Flynn, or Slug as we all know him. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ron Pagney.
All board members, I see any of my ex-students here. I'm a good friend, I guess, of most of the people in this room that have talked, and they've kind of stole my thunder. So I'd like to just kind of start off with letting you know that John was and as Tom said, Slug, was my high school teacher, my baseball coach. I was a teacher under him as he was my athletic director when I was coaching, and I was a vice principal at McQueen High School with him. But most of all, he was a friend, as well as all of the Flynn family. I saw Johnny Flynn grow up to be a great man, fly a helicopter, and give his life for our country. I kind of take it from a different angle. McQueen was one of the finest schools that I was ever associated with. Slug was basically looking for the best staff he could put on the face of this earth, and he did it. But his roots were Sparks High School, and many of those people that are in this room were Sparks High School teachers and coaches. He learned everything from a gentleman I believe we all knew as Mike Horan, his principal. But Slug was also compassionate and a very good person. I just can't say any more about him. I'll end this with one of the people in the community. I don't know if you all go to the Casale's Halfway Club on 4th Street, one of the finest establishments. Kind of put me through high school. Was able to do the dishes and make my own pizzas when Inez and Steamboat were running it. But what John Stempick used to say was, "Coach, I just have nightmares every night." He says, not every night, but just about once a month, that I forgot my basketball shoes, and Mr. Flynn made me run laps the whole practice. That's the kind of person John was. He was very firm, he was very compassionate, but he was always righteous. He knew when he was wrong, and he admitted when he was wrong. And as far as the Flynn family, I've really been appreciative. I've known the Flynn family for 60 years and Slug for probably 70 years. And I'm not going to tell you my age because I'm an old guy now, and I never thought I'd get to this age. But I'd like to thank you, and I'd really like you to consider naming the school after Johnny and Slug Flynn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pablo Nava Duran.
All right. Hello, guys. My name is Pablo Duran. I'm a former substitute teacher at Washington School District and a current City Council NAB Ward 3, Neighborhood Advisory Board for Ward 3. So I want to talk about there's a lot of community took a survey, and then person community, not so New World, but a whole community. But more than 40% of them are community members. There are a few names that should not be found, and the reason are Edward Pine is a middle school, should not be named in a master school. Aiden Matt Dennis, which is little or no Native American population in New World area, Everett Mount, already named in Northeast Reno Park, and Wapashu, similar to Aiden Martinez, Madalestis, in New Indian County in New World area. So here are my top two finalists, Smith Ridge and John Friend, but I didn't start with Smith Ridge. So main community service response. Majority of New World Wested did not do their survey because they had to work multiple jobs, take care of the children, and many of them speak or little no understand in English. And that includes Spanish. Like, they tried their best to make it Spanish, but the Spanish survey not very good. Good. So this name is fundamental cause. It should be a finalist because judge should have a right to view school legislature as a contender. And this show that this Smith Ridge had a sentence independent what it means Smith Ridge to grow up in a city high poverty area. I support Smith Ridge because of community origin, and also I do support Home Garden, which is not a finalist because that's a school before Smith Ridge Elementary School. As a demographic, a lot of reason, but Smith Ridge already a uniform school, and a family cannot afford to redesign or buy a new uniform. So for example, if we name John Smith Elementary School, if there will be a uniform school or not going to be a uniform school. If it's not going to be a uniform school, great. I guess most family doesn't have to spend a lot of money. So I do support John Friend because all the people, I like support comments. So, and as a student athlete, I don't play with Coach John Friend, but he seemed like he contributed to something this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Mansfield Hunsater.
Good evening, and thank you for being here and listening to our comments. My name is Karen Mansfield Hunsater. I am both a district graduate and longtime resident. In fact, I'm a member of the first class to attend Grace Warner Elementary School all the way from kindergarten through 6th grade. My siblings, Kim, David, and Christine, also attended Grace Warner, and our principal was Mr. Frank Edward Marfisi. My cousin Jimmy, who had Down syndrome and was older than us, also knew Mr. Marfisi as he taught Jimmy in 6th grade. Jimmy regularly accompanied my grandmother to pick us up from school, and his face would light up the moment he saw Mr. Marfisi, and as Mr. Marfisi would do the same. I'm here tonight to strongly recommend that the school naming committee consider honoring Frank Marfisi. celebrating his decades of service as an educator and principal, as well as his honorable service to our country as a U.S. Marine during a time of war. Mr. Marfisi served the Washoe County School District and Reno School District Number 10 prior to its consolidation for over 31 years. He was a contemporary and close colleague of district luminaries such as Proctor Huggs Sr., Earl Wooster, Darrell Swope, Bill Bowden, and Bud Garfinkel. A 1946 graduate of Reno High School, Frank served in the military before earning his undergraduate degree in English and physical education from the University of Nevada, Reno in 1953, later completing his master's degree in education. Most notably, Frank served as the very first principal of Grace Warner Elementary School, leading the school for over 20 years. Prior to that, he served as principal of the McKinley Park Elementary for 5 years and spent 6 years teaching physical education, health, 8th grade math, and coaching at Northside Junior High School. Beyond the classroom, Frank coached youth basketball, Reno Little League, and Babe Ruth baseball. An avid bowler who maintained his Marine-like fitness through his adult life, he consistently set a positive example for every student and athlete he mentored. Frank Marfisi's true legacy lies in his unwavering devotion to his students, staff, and community over more than a quarter of a century as a principal. At 97 years old, having recently lost his beloved wife of nearly 75 years, Jane, naming this new elementary school after him would be a powerful and timely tribute to a living local hero. While I am standing here tonight, I know I speak for countless friends, classmates, and colleagues, many of whom desperately wanted to be in this room tonight but live out of town, who loved Mr. Marfisi and carry his positive influence with them every day. Thank you for your time and consideration of Frank Marfisi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Mansfield.
Would you like to hold it on your lap?
Here,
Would that work?
I'll hold it for him.
Okay. And this goes up and down.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Robert Mansfield. I'm in my 90s, and I come here before you tonight just as not as a longtime Reno resident, but a parent who entrusted 4 of my children to the care of Grace Warner Elementary. In fact, one of my daughters was part of the first graduating class to complete the entire journey from kindergarten through 6th grade. Under the leadership of a man, we are here tonight to nominate Frank Marfisi. There are many reasons to name a school after an individual, but Frank possesses distinction that truly sets him apart. Frank and I share a bond that was forged long before we ever stepped foot in a Washoe County schoolyard. We're both veterans of the Korean War. We both answered the call of duty, put our lives on hold, and served our nation during a defining time in history. When I moved to Reno in 1958, I brought with me the values of discipline, duty, and service. When I met Frank in the early 60s, I instantly recognized those exact same values in him. Serving our country during a time of war changes you. It instills a deep sense of responsibility for the lives of others. For Frank, that foundational sense of duty transitioned seamlessly from defending our nation in uniform to protecting, guiding, and educating our community's youth. For decades, Frank and I would get together to talk about life, service, and our families. If I stood before you for the next 5 hours, I still couldn't fully articulate what a truly great man, loyal friend, devoted community member, and dedicated educator he is. He didn't just manage a school, he cared deeply for his students. They were in every sense his kids. Frank felt a personal responsibility to ensure that every single child who walked through the doors of Grace Warner received not only a great education, but the critical values of discipline, respect, and integrity. Frank is now 97 years old, and his life remains an inspiring example to all of us. His candidacy is uniquely distinguished by a lifetime of service, first defending our country and then shaping generations of children right here in Northern Nevada. He does not need to build a legacy. He has already earned it. I urge this committee to give Frank Marfisi the honor he so richly deserves by naming this new elementary school after him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Tim Henderson.
Hello, my name's Tim Henderson, and I'm requesting that you name the new school after my great uncle, Sessions Wheeler. His family, friends, and past students have been working on naming a school for the last 8 years. So I've been in front of you guys several times. And the prior committees had taken him as a finalist to the top 3 twice, and he came in second place twice, coming up second against Marcy Hertz and J. Wood Raw Elementary. So prior committees have really considered my great uncle. When looking at a name, there were 6 categories that were reviewed: role in education, impact, public service, historical significance, geographic significance, and contribution. For role in education, my uncle was a teacher for 30 years. He taught biology at Reno High, and he also taught up at UNR. For impact, he received the Conservationist of the Year Award, Outstanding Biology Teacher Award, and the Distinguished Nevada Award. And most importantly, he was the second person ever inducted into the Nevada Writers Hall of Fame. For public service, he was the very first director of the Fish and Game Commission, who was a commissioner of the Fish and Game, very first one, and he was a trustee for the Flashman Foundation. Historical significance, he wrote 7 books, all about Nevada and all used for education. Contribution, he was in charge of donating $192 million for the Flashman Foundation, all used for education. So things like the Flashman Planetarium was part of his plan, the Desert Research Institute, the Carson City Museum, and the biology building up at UNR. So my uncle is not famous now, but he was back in the 50s and the 60s. And I think it would be a shame for his name to be forgotten, even though all the work he did was 60 years ago. My uncle loved to teach, especially anything to do with Nevada. Everything he did was about education. This is not about honoring him. It is about what he can continue to teach, what impact he can have on young lives. Wheeler Elementary would teach biology, conservation, stewardship, public service, philanthropy, journalism, and a genuine love for the outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ken Cass.
Thank you to the School Naming Committee for your time. My name is Ken Cass, and it is my privilege to be before you to ask you for your consideration in naming the new elementary school after John J. Flynn and John Michael Flynn. I had a 40-year career in education with 30 years in the Washoe County School District. During those 30 years, my first 23 years were spent at McQueen High School, from when it opened in 1982 until 2005. Those 23 years and the 17 to follow were so overwhelmingly influenced by my first principal and McQueen's first principal, Mr. John Flynn, who served through 1991. John was McQueen High School. He handpicked the staff and expected excellence, and he was a role model for everyone. His legacy and impact lasts to this day. My favorite memory of John, and there are so many, was the time and effort he put into evaluations. I never had a better evaluation than the one I had from John, my probationary year of teaching. I still have it all these years later, although I didn't bring it like Denise to prove it. I was also very fortunate to know Chief Warrant Officer John Michael Flynn from the time he was in high school. He epitomized character and selfless service to others, just like his dad. It is so very tragic that in his service to others and our country, he paid the ultimate sacrifice on September 25th, 2005. I know this is a difficult decision for the committee, and that you have many fine people who would like this school to be named for someone else. However, a school named after John Flynn would represent two men with the absolute highest degree of professionalism, service, and moral character that I have had the honor to meet. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Mo Otuafi.
Hello, my name is Moholamo Otuafi. I'm here on behalf of Juanita Ediondo. I spent a long time writing in my phone what I was going to say about Juanita and her impact in the community. But on our way here, my wife informed me that we only have 3 minutes. So I decided to delete everything I wrote and just come up here and speak on how she impacted me in my personal life. My sophomore year is my first interaction with Juanita. I went to McQueen High School. She was assistant principal there, and she was head of disciplinary. I was a terrible student, and Coach Cass was there, and he could confirm that I was a bad student. I also participated in things that I shouldn't have done, and I got caught, and that was my first interaction with Juanita. She dropped the hammer on me and my family. In the Polynesian culture, when you do something that you're not supposed to, it's borderline abuse, but I got my butt whooped. So fast forward to my junior year, I failed 2 classes at the end of my junior year, and I couldn't play my senior year. It was looking like I couldn't play. And back in those days, McQueen was a powerhouse. We took pride on being on that team and playing for coaches like Coach Cass and Coach Dalton. So as I found myself in Juanita's office once again, it didn't matter to her. She helped me get into the summer school classes that I needed to play my senior year. But it didn't matter to Juanita who you were, what your past was, where you come from. She was always willing to help. Something about her that I truly love about her is she cares about people, and she cares about them becoming successful. So fast forward, many years later, she took a chance on me again and allowed me to marry her daughter, who currently now has been a teacher for the past 20 years and serves this community. We have 4 grown boys who are in this community and go to school here. I worked many years in construction and mining, and back in 2012, the price of gold dropped and they laid off my whole department. And so I kind of had a midlife crisis, and I remember going to my mother-in-law and crying to her, I don't know what to do. So she helped me get into, I wanted to become a firefighter then, so she helped me get into EMT class, and we spent many nights where she would read my textbook to me, teach me how to take notes. Eventually I became a paramedic. I'm proud to say that I serve this community not only as a firefighter, but as a paramedic. I'm able to do that because a lady took a chance on me back, this terrible student back in the day. And thank you for your consideration on naming the school after Juanita Ediondo.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Jean Otuafi.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Michonne Otoafi, and I am a native Nevadan, a Washoe County School District teacher for the last 20 years, and I am the proud daughter of Juanita Ediondo, who inspired me to be an educator. When we name a school after someone, we are choosing the values we want future generations to remember. A school's name should represent education at its very best: service, opportunity, perseverance, and the unwavering belief in every student. And Juanita Ediondo embodies all of those things. For more than 40 years in education, including 25 years here in Washoe County, Juanita dedicated her life to creating pathways and removing barriers so that every student, especially those who faced challenges like my husband or needed a different route to success, had the opportunity to thrive. And she believed education could change lives, and then she spent her entire career proving it. Her experience spanned every level of education, K through 12. She served as our district as a teacher, as a coordinator, as an assistant principal at McQueen and Washoe High School, and as a senior director, head of Opportunity Schools. Even after retiring from Washoe County, she spent another decade serving students through Job Corps because education is her life's calling. Her legacy is not measured by those titles, and it is measured by the opportunities she created that continue to change lives today. She helped establish the first permanent home for Washoe High School and the Washoe Adult Program, ensuring students of all ages had a place to continue their education. She helped support and maintain the SIESIS program so pregnant and parenting teens could remain in school and graduate. She co-authored grants that provided child care for adult learners, removing barriers so more students could continue their education. She helped expand alternative education and online learning so students who did not thrive in traditional classrooms still had a pathway to success. This was Wolf, and now it's known as North Star. She played a key role in expanding TMCC High School. She helped secure properties for what became Washoe Inspire Academy. She expanded the Academy of Arts, Careers and Technology in support of CT, where I teach today. And she founded the district's summer graduation ceremony, so every student who completed their requirements after summer school could still experience walking across that stage. These were not temporary initiatives. They became long-lasting opportunities and pathways that continued to serve Washoe County students and families. As a proud woman of Spanish Basque heritage and a native Nevadan, she also reflects the rich history and diversity that have helped shape Washoe County. Many people have served our community, but very few can say that they helped build the educational opportunities that generations of Washoe County students still benefit from today. As we consider the name of this new school, I hope we remember that schools should honor the people who devoted their lives to public education in this district. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dawn Williams.
Hello, my name is Dawn Williams, and Frank Marfisi is my father. He graduated Reno High School after World War II ended, yet followed his father's footsteps directly into the U.S. Marines. He can recall so many Reno High students who died for our country. While in college, he was recalled to active duty because of the Korean War, and he served honorably. Dad began teaching in Reno School District number 10 at Northside, one of the two junior highs at the time, as a coach and health teacher. He had all the boys for all the sports, plus on Saturdays when they would come to school to play the games against each other. He said being on the playing field is an education in life. His focus has always been on the kids, along with many of his contemporaries in the district. He had a hand in forming and guiding the school district to what it is today. Dad worked alongside Buddy Garfinkel, Marvin Moss, Bud Beasley, Marv Piccolo, Proc Hug, Earl Wooster, and Daryl Swope. They shared their ideas and worked together, many times informally, to improve on programs they already had and invent new ones when necessary. Special education. which was really being formed at the time, was always an important emphasis and interest for Dad. Field Day, now a favorite of all students at the end of the school year, was a program he began with Jack Ricketts and was quickly picked up by others in the district. It focuses on the integration of physical movement with studies, which is a huge benefit for the children. Lunchroom duty was his domain. It allowed the teachers a break in the middle of the day, but more importantly, it brought him into contact with all the kids. He wanted them to know that he would be there day after day as a solid figure in their lives. His door was always open to the kids, to the teachers, to the parents. Many a time we were out at a public gathering and someone would come up and greet him as Mr. Marfisi, and Tad always remembered their name. His involvement never stopped at the end of the school day. Additionally, he served as a Little League coach for many years. Dad had a true passion for coaching youth sports and used it as an extension of his teaching to provide lessons on citizenship, character, and leadership. To this day, many of his former students and players cite him as having positively influenced their lives. So I come here tonight to offer you these personal observations of my dad's contributions and longstanding service to the district, the community, and the nation. He's now 97 and still sharp as a tack. I ask for your vote tonight that he might receive the recognition and honor, while he's still alive, of having an elementary school named after him. As he devoted, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Kristen Wynn.
You were supposed to have my name. Okay. Good evening. My name's Kristen Gwynn. I came tonight to support the Flynn family, which is why I showed up without any notes, but then felt a need to speak on behalf of John Flynn. And I don't think I knew why I needed to until you, sir, asked about who would be 18% as other, and that could be me. So we are the parents of 2 former Pine students. I am the almost retired teacher from Roger Corbett and a community member with long history with the Flynn family. I cannot speak anything about John Flynn because I didn't have the joy of meeting either of them, but I know the family, and what we see tonight is a piece of what I think naming a school after John Flynn would provide. The impact of the name on a school is significant. It creates identity and drive for the new staff. It creates role model for the students. And by naming a school after John Flynn, I think you see the support you would receive from the community. So with that, I am here to ask you to consider naming the new elementary school for John Flynn. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if we could, we're going to just take a quick 5-minute stretch break. So we'll be back at 6:56. Thank you. I don't have a hammer. Hello, everyone. No hammers provided for this one. All right, we're ready to get started again. Can you do that? I don't know if that's what do you have a principal voice, right? Can't want to be.
Okay, we're going to get started.
Okay, here we go. We're going to get started again. If we could have everybody take a seat. We're ready to get started again. JJ, are we ready to get the next name?
Brett Ballman. Brett Ballman.
Hi there.
Hi, if we could get everybody to quiet down, we're starting again. Thank you.
So, thank you for allowing me to come speak on behalf of John Michael Flint. We grew up together. When I thought about coming to do this, I thought about what kind of person would be worthy of getting an honor like this. And so I thought about John, and a quick story came up for me. When I got out of the Navy in '91, I needed a job. And so I reached out to John, and he said, well, come down to, he was working at Sierra Nevada Construction at the time. He said, come down, and maybe there's something there for you. So I did that, and we went in and talked to the boss, and the boss said, well, go up and work on that patchwork at Incline with him. So John explained to me as we were walking out the parking lot that I was going to drive the 10-wheeler, and he was going to follow with his work truck. And so I said, was it a manual transmission? He said, yeah, and it's got a splitter. So he gave me a 15-second tutorial, and we headed out, and I went to get a load of asphalt and then drove up Melrose Highway. And if you're not fast enough, if you miss a gear, you kind of have to start back at first. So long story short, we get to the first turnout, and I pull over, and John pulls up behind me, and there's a stream of 30 or 40 cars now passing us. And I get out of the truck, and John is outside, bent over, laughing hysterically. So we get back to the yard that afternoon, and we go inside and talk to the boss. And boss asked how things went, and Johnny said, well, I've worked with a lot of people, but none better. So when I think about words like courage and integrity and the kind of friendship that he offered, the kind of sacrifice that he made for Nevada and for our country, I think about all the people that I've known and met throughout the years, and many very good people. But John Flynn, there's none better. None better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Aiden Bremner.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Aiden Bremner. I'm the granddaughter of Mrs. Elizabeth Betty Morris, and I live in Carson City. I just brought this article tonight to highlight some of the cool things about my grandmother as an educator. When she retired after 46 years of teaching, the governor proclaimed that day, Governor then Bob Miller, in honor of Betty Morris. And this is the kind of energy and enthusiasm that she brought everywhere she went. Her kindergarten classroom. She taught for many decades. I'm sure you've heard comments about her before. And I really enjoy thinking about the fact that we're talking about here naming an elementary school.
and she was an elementary school teacher. And she was a kindergarten teacher, right? Local. She lived in this community. She went to church in this community. She was the organist across the street. And she taught all 4 of her kids and a grandkid in her classroom. She made a huge impact. I'm also wearing a Head Start t-shirt, a program that I'm very fond of. I worked for the Washoe tribe for 2 years at the Head Start, and this beautiful woman helped establish that here over 3 summers back in the day in the 60s under President Lyndon Johnson. So the legacy of foundationing all the children that she taught, thousands in her classroom, and the kids at church, and my nephew's teacher right now at Grace Warner School was her student. Head Start, you know. My grandmother was really big on helping those who were less fortunate, not me in the Gifted and Challenged program, but kids who really needed help. And another reason I think it'd be beautiful to name a school Betty Morris is she was so humble. It wasn't a vanity for her at all. In fact, she just loved education. She said in this article, she knew she was going to be a teacher as a young person. She was passionate about children and their development. And she loved music. I mean, think about it in kindergarten yourself. It's already stressful going to school. You're used to being at home on your iPad. So someone like Betty Morris had a piano in the classroom. Dun, dun, da, dun. Stop, look, and listen. It's time to clean up. That's the kind of woman she was. She was also powerful in the community as a committee member, trustees, board trustees in the airport, served on the Washoe County Teachers Association Union, and was very involved with her Phi Kappa Phi Honors Society and UNR. Incredible person, incredible legacy, as well as a local hero right in this community of Smith Ridge. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Caroline Tripp.
Hello to the board. I apologize. I misunderstood the email, and what I thought was if you support John Flynn to wear military fatigues. So I literally had to go to my shed and dig them out. I want to just recognize everybody here that has nominated anybody else. And if anybody was nominated, I know they've done something well and good. I'm going to try to get through this without getting emotional. I'm a retired Sergeant First Class, Nevada Army Guard, Flight Operations. I was there with John Flynn before he took his last flight. To me, he is a hero. He gave his life for our country and our state. As we talked around flight operations, the table, he looked at me and said, I don't want to do this mission. But he did it out of duty. He gave his life for our country. And I honestly believe he knew he was going to die, but he did it. So I wasn't prepared to speak. I don't have all the right things to say. I'm not dressed correctly, but I can say he was a true hero for our country. He was a good pilot. He was exceptional. He was a trainer. He was always professional, and he always did the right thing. I don't know, I felt awkward with everybody's back to me, but unless there's questions, I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Alejandro Rivera.
My name is Alejandro Rivera, and I am a student at the Monte Ranch High School, and I live in this area. I was actually contacted by one of the trustees and got her support to be the student representative on this committee, but I had to decline the role due to my job. I am from the Smithridge area and have spoken up for us in the past, and I support keeping the name Smithridge for the new school. I feel this is the name that many people from Neal Road adore and would love to continue having for the new school. I love this community, and it has inspired me to want to achieve my dream of becoming a police officer. I hope that the day I graduate from the police academy, I can return to this community and help improve it. Please take into account the voices from people actually living in this community, people that actually live in this area, not people that have a connection to the school from the past, but people that are actually here right now and for the future. I'm obviously not in elementary school anymore, but I do have a lot of friends that have younger siblings that are gonna come here. I do have a lot of people that have lived here like through generations, and I'm sure they would love to keep the name. I don't know why they would want to change it. So at the end of the day, this is your guys' decision. You guys are gonna discuss about it, but we should keep the name because it's just what it's been for so long, and I feel like it's a deeper connection than what it really is. I do respect a lot of the other options that other people here commented. I wouldn't mind if they got picked, but I feel like Smithridge would be the best option. But at the end of the day, I think you guys will make the right decision. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much.
Brooke Kimber.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. This is my home away from home. I have taught here at Smithridge for 16 years of the 60-plus years that Smithridge has been in this community. It's an incredibly special place to me, myself, and lots of other community members on Neal Road. Smithridge not only represents a school, but it's a very tight-knit community, a community that's been underrepresented historically in Reno, a community that is a little shy to come out into the public and speak, a community that doesn't show up online for surveys. So I am a trusted adult in this community, and I'm here to speak up for them. This is a new building for us. Look around, we needed it. Our roof tiles are crazy. The Roto-Rooter guys are here all the time. My classroom is flooded from the toilet. God knows what was in it. But I'm so happy that the Washoe County School District has decided to build us a new location across the street. This is not a new school. This is not a new community. This is a new campus for us that we need. This 60-plus year school is crumbling. We've needed it for a long time. I am in support of keeping Smithridge, the new location, still Smithridge. I love all these nominees, and it has just warmed my heart to hear these beautiful stories of these beautiful people in our community. We are so blessed in Washoe County. However, this is not a new school. We are literally moving across the street into some new classrooms. We are so excited. This community deserves it. So please consider continuing Smithridge's legacy over the last 60 years, keeping the historic name for the new Smithridge campus, in my opinion. The name Smithridge reflects the future of our community. It also reflects the amazing community that has already walked through those doors. So I appreciate you listening. I hope you understand that I am representing the Smithridge community, many people who will not come up and speak because of language barriers, jobs, etc. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Deanna Roth.
Thank you. I'm Deanna Raw, and I am representing Buck Wheeler. And Tim Henderson gave you a good overview of his credentials, and I believe you have all of that in writing. However, what I feel the sense of wow when I hear his history and the fact that he was born in 1911 in a town in Reno, so he was a native, but the name of his little town or city no longer even exists. That's history in Nevada. But he went through all the schools. He went to Reno High School, or taught at Reno High School when it wasn't on Booth Street. It's just the history that he had, to think of the children, to say, oh, the Mr. Wheeler Elementary School, I mean, not only did he teach, well, he lived here, grew up here, taught here, worked as, in Fish and Game. I mean, so many of our kids don't even know what the Fish and Game department is. They don't know the history of that long ago. For them to say, it was more than by the time they get in school, it's more than 100 years ago that he was in elementary school. It's like to have elementary school kids say, what's 100 years ago? Like even to, they're all into learning on iPads and all the stuff. What about the field trips that they could take, whether it's in person or virtual, to say what Buck Wheeler did in Fish and Games and conservation and what that means in service and in his philanthropy work. But also this list of books that he has. Wonder if you could sneak that into their curriculum and actually have them learn about the Paiutes, about the Black Rock Desert, about desert sheepmen, the gentleman in the outdoors, desert lakes, all those things. Wouldn't it be fun just to have a little extra book assignment that they could actually maybe even read on paper? Just, I don't know. I think that it's been a long time. The family has been asking for 8 years. All these candidates are wonderful people. And also Smithridge is Smithridge. So you got a hard choice, but do keep Buck Wheeler in mind for that sense of history.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mike Dixon.
Good evening. Thanks for coming here. I'm Mike Dixon. I'm the principal of Smithridge. Glad you guys came out here tonight. We're really hoping more families would come, but we did have some in the back, and it's just really hard to get folks here in July. But we tried, and we had a few, so that was great. I really enjoyed hearing from so many educators and folks here about their families. It was very special, and I think we all could really appreciate that. I'm not here to tell you which name that I would advocate for, but I do feel compelled to share a little bit of context as I've listened today, just to give you guys a little bit of information to help you out. So I wrote a couple things down, a couple points for you. I'm one of the few district employees that has been involved in this project since the beginning, and you got to go back to about 2022 when Canon Designs was hired to look at our facilities modernization plan, and they began throwing around this idea of a new campus on Mill Road as a school consolidation. So this phrase became really popular, that Smithridge would be consolidated with Dotson. That was finalized in their plan, and then once that became a topic of discussion in the community, the Dotson community did not want to do that. They wanted to continue more in their community and go to Hidden Valley. Thank you. So as we know, fast forward a few years, the zoning, the meetings have shaken out to where this campus is moving across the street, and I want to explain a little bit more of what that really means. There's a section of our community north of here at the airport that came to Smithridge, and then they were zoned to go to Corbett. I've been here about a decade, so that was in my time here. Let's say that's about 20 kids. They're going to come back and join us again. And then we are going to have some new students join us from the other side of McCarran, which currently attend Donner Springs, and that's projected to be about 60 kids. So if you do the math, which I have looked at this extensively, 90% of the news campus is going to be our Smithridge family here. And I just want to share that with you because I think it is important to understand the culture and climate that does exist here and how incredible it is. And we are an amazing school. And I think that in this conversation with Canon Designs and the initial communication came out, and there is the little criteria that because where this campus is being built where a current campus is, that opens it to the naming process. But I would encourage you to ponder, this project to me is more like Stead, Loader, Vaughn. It is less of a Michael Inskeep, a Jaywood Raw, where you built a new campus and folks came from around the community to actually create a new campus. This is a little different scenario here. So I just wanted to share that bit of a background with you. So thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Diane Martin.
Hello there. My name is Diane Martin. My tag along, my ride or die right here. So I am first of all, I'm a nurse and I am a mom of 5. 4 of which have attended Smithridge since pre-K. I typically run around here like a chicken with my head cut off, my baby would say. I wasn't planning on attending. I wasn't planning on speaking. However, me being a nurse, for those of you who don't know, we jot down little notes, and that's our whole report that we give off, you know? I could tell you a social, where they were born, everything based off of one line. So I did, you know, what I did best. I jotted my notes, I jotted how I thought, and so here it is. Basically, so, I mean, if I could name a school after a certain person, that'd be a pretty long name, because I would name it every teacher who has crossed paths with me and my children. I would name it probably after Mr. Dixon, after the counselors, after the lunch ladies. I would name it. That'd be too long. You guys would kick me out. However, with that being said, and coming from a home where I was moved from elementary school to elementary school, I didn't have a home. I heard the word, let's pack and let's get to moving. So I attended 50 elementary schools, 50 middle schools, 50 high schools. So to me, my kids moving from one school to another wasn't a big issue. Well, boy, have they taught me wrong. So I want to share with you guys a quote that says, while we try to teach our children all about life, our children teach us what life is all about. With that being said, I vote Smithridge to keep Smithridge because not only is it a name, it's the aura. It's what you find when you walk in that door from person to person. I have a pescatarian, a lactose intolerant. I have, you know, and then on top of that, it's just hard dealing with the mother in general. So, you know, mom of 5. We started with A and B building. They, you know, as you leave, make sure you look at it. We've expanded, they added C building. And like everybody else has said, you know, wonderful names, wonderful stories to hear on the impact of everybody. But when you walk into Smithridge, you know, the adaptive, the aura is basically the word I can leave you guys with. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thurman Roberts.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Thurman Roberts. I am reading a submission on behalf of the Melendez family for advocating for Arlen Melendez. And it's a beautiful thing to see the number of votes that have actually came through online. But a little before, not a lot of Native representation are here, as Native people often don't like to speak publicly or really share kind of deep emotional feelings. But for myself, I moved into Reno a couple months ago, worked here with the all tribes in Northern Nevada doing workforce development, and have begun to be able to see the impact that the Melendez name attached to the campus would have, and the excitement it caused across the Native country here in Northern Nevada, that having representation from a Native previous chairman would deeply inspire a lot of Native youth who often struggle in the public school system. So here we go. So this is on behalf of the Melendez family. They are advocating for the new naming the new elementary in honor of their father. Arlen's story is rooted here in Washoe County. He grew up attending Overis Ring Elementary, Vaughn Middle School, and Worcester High School before serving the country as a U.S. Marine. He spent 32 years as chairman of the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, becoming the longest-serving tribal chairman in Nevada history, and was a member of the U.S. Civil Rights. Throughout his decades of public service, Arlen always prioritized youth, education, community unity. In his own words, there is no greater evidence of progress than the building of relationships with all people. By naming the school after Chairman Melendez, we are honored. We aren't just honoring a distinguished leader, we are showing students that our kids from Vaughn, Worcester, can grow up in a united community and make history. I think that also speaks to how representation from the Native community on a school building would also unite multiple communities underneath one premise of education, unity, and community service. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
The committee received emails from Mile Billow, Linda Morris, Andrew Stafford, Candace Fife, Brittany Noble, Diane Kelly, Mary Smith, the Barlow family, Francis Amos, Kitty Bergen, Diana Neff, Stacy Peterson, Chris Klum, Tiffany Pagney, Alexis Andrews, Helen Ford, Justin Solomine, and Janet Hay.
Thank you. And we did get a chance to review those emails, so thank you so much. And before we get started on our discussion, I just wanted to thank everyone for giving their personal stories and tributes to loved ones, and just really some remarkable people out there. And it's going to be a difficult decision for us and the trustees, I'm sure. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. And with that, we can begin discussions now, or Colleen, did you want to go over kind of what our rubric and process will be, and then maybe we can have discussions before we fill out our personal rubrics?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. So after your discussion, what we'll be asking of each of you is to take the sheet that you were provided in your packet and to rank your top 3 selections. And that's, of course, based on, your personal opinions, the Admin Regulation Board policy, the survey, the public comments, all of that. I will ask that you give your top choice 3, 2, 1, and then you will have this posted up to look at what the committee is thinking. And then after that is when you would make a motion. You can have discussion, obviously, make a motion, and come up with the up to 3 names that you will forward to the Board of Trustees for the final decision. Does that make sense? And does anyone have any questions?
Could you clarify, it's like 3 points for our top one, 2 points for the middle one, and 1 point for
your third choice?
The third choice. Okay,
yes,
thank you.
I just because I know you think number 1, but just for the most points, it seemed easier. If that's your pleasure, we can do whatever.
Okay, so would the committee like to discuss beforehand, or do you want to fill out the sheets and then have discussion? Any thoughts? It's really our choice, so.
I'm good with just filling
Okay.
out off of what we've received and then discussing after that.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's take a few minutes to do that then.
And then I will remind you, mark on here what you've selected, and then make sure you put your name on here, because we will turn these in as they will become part of the public record.
Okay, are we ready? Or do we need a few more minutes? Ready? Okay. If we want to, are you good with starting? And please state your name and then your choices. Thank you.
And then JJ's going to be inputting them up on the screen so that you can see the totals. And hopefully the spreadsheet works appropriately since I am not a spreadsheet person.
All right, I'm Russell Morgan. I am the at-large representative. First of all, I want to thank all the public that provided comments. I read through all those comments. There were 500 and something comments. Very insightful. I learned a lot. It raised a lot of questions in my mind about this whole process and the appropriateness. And I want to thank all the people that spoke tonight. I know public speaking is not everyone's forte, and so I appreciate that. One of the comments that stuck with me was one of the written comments that came was we shouldn't be naming after a person because people forget who those people were. I can personally say I have no idea who Florence Drake was. I have no idea who E. Otis Vaughn was. I have no idea who Agnes Risley was. I have a vague idea who Darrell Swope was because I went to the school named after him. In talking with JJ in the break, she said that the schools do a much better job of teaching the students about the school's namesake, and I think that's a fantastic idea because we're trying to, I think, provide an inspirational name for the students, and as many people have commented, we want the students to grow up with that person's values, and so to get there, we need to teach the students about that person, so I'm glad that the school district does that. I'll just jump right into my rankings, just because I have a whole lot more notes and we've been here for a while. So I'll cut to the chase. So my school with 3 points, so my highest rank would be Smith Ridge. The community aspect, the long 60-year, I didn't realize the school had been here for 60 years. I think that's huge, and it is just moving across the street. I think we've had some other schools that got new buildings. One of the other speakers mentioned that, but it's like O'Brien Middle School, Trainer Middle School, Vaughn Middle School, Stead Elementary. The name traveled. And so I think that's the same thing. Hug High School, it traveled a little bit farther, but it's the same population, and I get that. It's the school, it's the tradition, it's the values of that community, and I think that's huge. My middle score, 2 points for Frank Marfisi. He was, as we all know, he was an elementary school principal. And since this is an elementary school, well, that just fits. A high school principal, not so much. He was an elementary principal and clearly had huge impact on people. And then number 3, so 1 point would be Juanita, and I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, Waidiando. Her time was spent helping kids that were non-traditional students or needed additional things, and I think that's huge. I can't say that any of the other candidates had that breadth of experience and that focus. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Ann Pawnee for Zone F. I ranked Pine as with 3 points as my number 1. I ranked John Flynn as my number 2, so 2 points. And I ranked Marfisi, my 3rd, at 1 point.
Jennifer Diaz for Zone D. I ranked Smithridge for 3 points.
Elizabeth Betty Morris, 2 points. John Flynn for 1 point.
Jeremy Ivy, Zone G. I ranked Smithridge with 3, Juanita with 2, and Betty Morris with 1.
Megan Downs, trustee Zone B representative. I ranked Smithridge with 3, John Flynn with 2, and Juanita Wadiondo with 1.
Dallas McCord, trustee Zone E, and a former Smithridge student. I rank Smithridge with...
Yeah, she's catching up, sorry.
Pause, please.
If you can pause
Just a pause.
momentarily, and then you can start all over again.
Megan, could you please repeat yours?
Yes. I had Smithridge with 3, John Flynn 2, Juanita 1.
Thank you. Dallas McCord, trustee Zone E, former Smithridge student and former district consultant to Smithridge, and somebody who had no idea that this was the school we were naming. I rank Smithridge as 3, Juanita, who I knew as Janae, as 2, and John Flynn as 1. Thank you.
Sue Egloff, I am a district representative, and I did Smithridge as my 3, John Flynn as my 2, and Juanita as my 1.
Hallie Jones, student representative. I did Arlen for 3. I did Juanita for 2, and then I did Evelyn Mount for 1.
Bill Newman, Zone A representative. I'll not be as verbose as my colleague, Rusty Morgan. I came with the idea of a few names in there, but listening to the comments and reading the comments, I had a shift in my thinking. And my shift was thinking to what we say in Hollywood, location, location, location. So my number 3 is Smithridge. My number 2 is Ed Pine, and I knew Ed Pine. He was an engineer with my father. One of the comments says, why change the name of the school at all? I do like that comment. And then number 1 would be Fred Horlacker, a former teacher of mine at Swope Middle School, teaching Nevada history.
Okay. All right, so if we want to take a look at the point spread. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like Smithridge at 21. JJ, is it possible to sort them based off highest to lowest? No. Okay. Okay. We don't do
Unless
spread.
Sue wants to show us how to do it because she knows how. She's hired for the job.
Okay. Yeah, we can make that work. Good job. All right, so Smithridge at 21, Juanita Wadiondo at 9, John Flynn at 8. Yeah, are we, looks like that is a top 3. So if anyone is ready to make a motion, I guess we should probably clarify one piece of this. With John Flynn moving forward, I don't know if we want to have legal counsel weigh in, but not really. But just moving forward with the McQueen, as part of the motion, dropping the McQueen gym. So if someone can be thinking about that when they make the motion, did you want to clarify anything there, or?
I don't think I have anything to clarify, other than just saying, I think it'd just be an opportunity to rename the gym at McQueen, but as, I think we can only have one location named after an individual. In this case, we just have John Flynn, I think recognizing both the father and son in this case, correct?
Correct.
And
Yes.
and I believe that reflects what was discussed at the last committee meeting.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the motion would need to have that caveat for the board, and I think there's an understanding. The board would need to look at that for their policy as well. So anybody ready to make a motion? It's a big one, yeah.
Okay, I'm jumping in. I move that we move forward with nominating our top 3 schools forward to the board for consideration, realizing that should Flynn be selected, that the gym at McQueen would also need to be renamed.
Great. Any like to second?
Sue Egloff, I'll second that motion.
Okay. So all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I think we have our 3 names going forward. Great. All
So
right.
can, I'll just mention too, that these 3 names will be forwarded to the Board of Trustees for final decision at a future meeting, which is at this stage scheduled for the September 8th board meeting.
And we do have a next meeting on August 17th. I don't know that we will need that meeting, but it is slated for that day should we need it. And now we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.